What is the mission of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Program Support Center, PSC? How does PSC support the business of government? And what is it doing to transform how it delivers services to its agency partners? I'll explore these questions and so much more with our very special guest, Mike Peckham, Acting Chief Financial Officer and Director of the Financial Management Portfolio at HHS's Program Support Center. So, Mike, let's start off by learning more about your organization. What is the mission of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Program Support Center, PSC, and why was it established and how has it evolved to date?
So, I think it's a pretty simple answer. I look at it as we provide administrative support services to our customers to help them achieve mission-related results. And we were established back in 1995, if my memory serves me correctly. And the concept was, hey, we've got a lot of duplicative work going on across several program offices. Wouldn't it make a little bit more sense to pull those administrative tasks into a centralized location so that our program folks can focus on mission-related work? And by doing so, the goal from the beginning has always been to create economies of scale, which in theory, we can provide broader support at a lower price to all of our customers.
Great. And so I'd like to transition to your actual role and leadership roles, if you will, at PSC. You mentioned you are the director of the financial management portfolio, but could you tell us more about your specific responsibilities and how your dual role, as I understand it, how it actually supports the overall mission of HHS?
Certainly. So my roles and responsibility as the acting CFO, I'm overseeing accounting operations. So that's your general accounts payable, accounts receivable. We also have a financial reporting service within our component organization, and we provide financial reporting for the PSC customers as well as the Indian Health Service. And we have the cost allocation services, and the role of that organization is to negotiate indirect cost rates or overhead rates with states, universities, hospitals, and nonprofits. And then we have the grant financial management process, the payment management services. And it's unique because it is the largest grants payment management system within the federal government. And to give you an idea of that, it's about over 500,000 transactions every year, totaling over $600 billion last year in disbursements. But it not only handles the disbursement, it's also capable of taking all the financial reporting that the recipients of those funds are required to provide back to the federal government.
Mike, with such an important mission regarding your duties and responsibilities, what would you say are your top three management challenges that you've faced, and how have you sought to address those challenges?
Well, I like that question because, you always have to start thinking when you think of challenges, and you don't have to think very long. Number one on my list right now is hiring. So I have an organization that fully staffed, 170 folks would be within my organization, and recognizing that you're probably always going to have, 5 to 10% vacancy rate. I'd love to get a lot closer to the 170 because I'm a lot closer to 130 right now. And we really need to staff up. So that is honestly my number one goal. And, we are putting announcements out on the street daily. So I'll put a little plug in. And if folks are interested in working for a great organization with a great purpose, great cause, please look at those announcements. I would say number two would be aging systems. We have a lot of monolithic systems. They were built quite some time ago. And while they meet the functional desires or the functional needs, they're not necessarily people-friendly systems. And a lot of times we have a lot of cuff systems that are around these key systems in order to keep them running because we just haven't put the investments into the actual systems for a few years at this point in time. And I would say my third biggest challenge, and I think this is a challenge that everybody is facing right now, is it's not just return to work, but it's understanding the workplace of tomorrow. I think that there's without a doubt going to be a change. What we're looking at as far as having folks in the office every single day and an entire contingency of staff there. We've managed throughout the last year and a half, and I think we've done an incredibly great job given the circumstances of you go home on Friday, what was it, the 13th of March, and on the 16th, you're told not to come back in. So I think we've done a great job there. But tomorrow's workplace is going to look very different. And what we need to be thinking about right now are the challenges that we've faced. We're not going to face them in the same manner we have over the last year and a half, but the challenges will still be there. And let's make sure we overcome them. And for example, when you have projects, when you're in the office and you're meeting on a daily basis and you're able to talk to people, walk down the hall and grab somebody's arm, it keeps projects right on target. When you have the situation where you're doing a lot of virtual meetings, if one key person misses that meeting, you don't have the opportunity to walk down the hall and grab them and talk to them about what transpired in that meeting. And so it kind of creates that barrier of how do we keep things on track and keep everybody updated and up to speed. So, those are three challenges. Obviously, there are more, but those are the ones that are pressing in my mind.
I was wondering if you could take this time to outline your strategic vision for your portfolio and perhaps share with us some of the key strategic priorities that frame that vision. And I'm wondering, given the priorities, are there any internal drivers or external trends that have informed it?
Well, the first thing I would say is the only constant is change, so don't fight it. So when you're setting a strategic vision, recognize that you're going to have to probably adapt that strategic vision a little bit as you go through a process. I love what benefits emerging technology can provide to the community, the government community specifically, right now. We keep talking about emerging technology like it's something that we're going to do tomorrow, but that's not the case. There's so much opportunity, and I'm really focused on helping my team understand what those opportunities are. I think they look at the limitations. They don't necessarily see what the technology can do for them. They could probably look at something like Amazon and how simple Amazon has made it to buy something on the web where you can do comparison shopping, you can do everything except for trying that shirt on, and you can return the shirt really, really easy if you don't do it well. But how can that type of approach be applied to their professional lives to create a better user experience for them? And I say that from the perspective of we've been using systems for a long time based on the functionality that the system brings to the table. The emerging technology has changed that dynamic, so it's time for us to change along with that.
So as I understand it, while I was preparing to talk to you, I found this fascinating. PSC operates more than 40 different collection programs. I don't even know if that number has changed across the federal government. Can you tell us more about this program you offer? What types of debt do you collect? And what are some of the current processes and systems challenges in this area?
So we are, as far as I'm aware, we are the only Treasury designated debt collection center outside of Treasury. We use a system, the debt management collection system, and I will put this nicely, it's a little old. It is one of those systems where we're using multiple cuff systems in order to manage the work that's coming through, theoretically, the one system. Debts are all different based on statutory language. However, with that said, once you get them into the actual debt collection process, the process works similarly the same time. So if you think about it from that perspective, you have to recognize, so they may have varying interest rates, penalties, administrative fees. But if we take the approach of, okay, if I have 40 different types of debt and they are slightly different, if I build a microservice being one type of technological stack that can handle one type of these debt, I can probably reutilize that microservice 39 times instead of rebuilding it 39 times to add or subtract from the functionality of the microservice in order to meet the need of the particular type of debt that you're using. When you throw that into a singular system, that then creates really an economy of scales, because if you look at the critical path of debt management, the critical path being what are the activities that happen the same no matter what type of debt you're doing, then you can alter your microservice to expand or contract to meet whatever that critical path is. I don't know if that's coming across clearly or not, but if conceptually you are looking at an 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time you're doing things exactly the same, and up to 20% of the time you deviate from that standard process, that is generally something from a process management and a systems management perspective that can be tackled. I'm not going to say easily, but a lower level of effort if you're well below that 80% bar.
So Mike, switching gears a bit, would you tell us more about your efforts to enhance the travel post-payment audit process? And where I'm going with this is the use or application of robotic process automation, RPA, in enhancing it. And perhaps you could highlight some of the key challenges faced. And more importantly, what was the net benefit of applying this technology?
What a fun thing we did. So when I returned to PSC, I was talking to my director and I said, hey, I played around in emerging technology. I see some big opportunities. Do you mind if I play around a little bit more while I'm here? And he said, be my guest. Just no money. You don't have any money to do this. So what I did was I talked to my counterpart who leads all the IT activities across PSC. And it turned out that we had a couple of Blue Prism licenses, just because that's what we had bought, that weren't being used for RPA. So I went back to an area that I had worked in a long time ago. Now, I haven't done a travel post-payment audit since early 90s. I think probably be a fair, safe statement. And while I know that the process has probably changed, the elements of what you're looking at remain the same. Really, the systems have changed over time and things should have gotten easier. So I talked to my chief in the travel area, and Kathy was very candid with me. And she said, yeah, we're only doing 50 a month right now, and we need to and should be doing more. It's really just a capacity issue because it takes, she said it takes a long time to do each one. So we went back after the fact, we measured it, and we found out on average, it takes 54 minutes to do one travel post-payment audit. And so at that point in time, we were trying at our capacity was at 50. That's what we were handling in a month. So we took the RPA tool, and we had a contract that within the contract, it did say that we could do some enhancing. And there were automation terms in there. So we talked to the contractor and said, hey, this is in scope in the contract, and we'd really like to do this. Would you engage? They said, absolutely. And what we were able to do was quite impressive. So the first thing we did was an as-is assessment and found out that it takes 54 minutes right now on average to do the travel post-payment audit. We went through about exploratory for about 45 days, maybe 60 tops. We started building at day 60. And by day 90, we had our prototype and we started processing travel post-payments using the RPA tool. So the first time we went through, I want to say it went from 54 minutes down to 14 minutes. We were like, wow, that's really good. So, we still have a few things to tweak. Next time it was 9 minutes. The next time we did it, it went down to 5 minutes for each travel post-payment audit. And we were really happy. And then it turned around and went back up to about 12 minutes. So note to everybody listening, when you have RPA, you have to babysit RPA. You don't just turn it on and think that it runs and that everything's going to be hunky-dory and you can just go to sleep at night and everything's going to be magically on your table, your desktop and a dashboard the next morning. It turned out that our optical character recognition failed on us. And really simple, we went back, we fixed that problem. We were back under 9 minutes for our average time. So we got an 82% efficiency increase. But we took the efficiency increase and we did not say this is a return on investment. We said this is a capacity item. We immediately were able to up the number of travel post-payment audits to 200, at least 200 per month. So now we are much better from a compliance perspective, and everybody involved in the entire process knows that we have to watch RPA very closely. But now that they see the value of what it brings to them and how much it helps them in their job, we have other places across the organization just literally throwing at me RPA projects that they would like to tackle. And I think that's great because that means that the idea, the concept is catching on. But what I want to do is I want to be very smart because it's a tool and it needs to be used in the right place. And we're not done. So we're down to 9 minutes. I am positive. I love to take the intelligent automation approach. And one of the terms that I've heard that's quite funny in my mind, but it's very, very true, is people say that RPA is a gateway drug. Well, it kind of is, because once you do RPA, there are other technologies that you can throw on top of the process to make the efficiencies just, grow so fast. It's incredible. And, I've done that in my other work under ReInvent Grants Management. And that's where I want to go next, is with the team. Okay, do we want to throw a little AI on top of this so that the AI can track what the individuals are doing, so that when we get a dashboard that is presented to somebody with the work, it's not just a dashboard of here's your queue for the day. It's here's your queue for the day. And by the way, based on recent activities, item number 1, we recommend that you do X with. Item number 2, we recommend you do Y with, because the AI is learning each and every single time somebody makes a decision in that process that the AI can see and learn from. You will build a confidence model so that at some point in time, you're going to get to the point where when it's recommending that you do X or it's recommending you do Y, the probability is in the high 90s that that's exactly the activity or the choice that you're going to make. But be careful, because we don't want to see this as anybody looking at it as you're replacing my job. We are augmenting somebody's job. That the human should always be the point that makes the final decision. And I'm sticking to my guns on that. I think that the AI, natural language processing, all that can be so beneficial. But let's leave that decision to the human.
Mike, you mentioned earlier you rejoined the Program Support Center after leading the ReInvent Grants Management Transformation Initiative and the HHS Data Act Initiative. Would you tell us more about these efforts? And can you tell us what lessons you learned from your efforts that you brought to your current role?
Absolutely. The Data Act was, as I mentioned earlier, it was so much fun because getting to engage with recipients and understand the pain points that they were feeling was eye-opening. And they also shared with me what they call the spaghetti chart. And literally, you will get a headache in 5 minutes looking at this chart of the number of different systems that one recipient organization, how many different government agencies and how many different systems within those government agencies they may have to deal with. It is bad. It's just, like I said, you're going to get a headache within 5 minutes of trying to figure this thing out. So when we did the Data Act, it was interesting because I got asked the question, if I'm not mistaken. So I had the privilege, or maybe you don't want to call it the privilege, of testifying on the work that we had done. And HHS got a lot of kudos about it. But we also got the question from the staffers of, you've done a great job in setting up, things that you could do under the Data Act to make improvements within the grant community. What system are you building? And at the point in time, I had to give the honest answer of, this is an unfunded mandate. I'm not building any system. I'm really sorry. I would love to if I had the opportunity. Well, not necessarily well received, but the point was taken. So when we got into ReInvent Grants Management, and I was, up talking to the senior executives at the department level, I said, the one thing we have to do under ReInvent Grants Management, we have to build a system to show folks that we really learned something from the Data Act and we're moving on what we learned. And so from that perspective, I got the okay to, we requested funding, we were provided funding to explore what would be the right thing to do. And I had tons of ideas, Michael. I had a lot of different things I wanted to look at. But what we did was we said, okay, let's step back and listen to what the users told us under the Data Act. Let's go back out and let's engage the users and understand where their pain points are. But this wasn't just the recipients. This was all users, meaning grant recipients. But on the federal side, it was the awarding organizations, the grants management specialists, the grants management officer, the financial folks, the budget folks, the program office folks, anybody that we could get time with and talk to and understand what they liked about how they were currently managing grants and what they didn't like about currently managing grants. We took all that information. We used an agile approach. We built user stories, and it just popped up to us very quickly that if we could do something in the realm of the risk assessment, it could have a return on investment that we really, quite honestly, didn't imagine what it was going to be when we first walked into it. But utilized a whole bunch of different technology. Happy to go into that a little bit more. But the bottom line here is we took a process that is taking 4 to 8 hours right now. And that's not just one person, that's multiple different people. And many folks have said 4 to 8 hours is a lean estimate. We risk adjusted that estimate down to 4 hours. And we built a system where you can do the cursory work that needs to be done with whenever. So 90% of the time when you do a risk assessment, everything looks fine and you don't have to move any further. We can do that in 15 minutes now. And that is just incredible. If you look at the savings across HHS, if implemented across HHS, that we could recognize $142 million, and I like to call it return to mission, because the idea here is it's not a return on investment, because we want the recipients to be focused on mission outcomes. We want them to focus on the outcomes of the goal of the grant. So if we can take $142 million, apply that to more mission-related activities, that is a huge, huge opportunity for the grant recipient and the American people.
This has been the Business of Government Hour, a conversation with Mike Peckham, Acting Chief Financial Officer and Director of the Financial Management Portfolio at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Program Support Center. Be sure to join us next time for another informative, insightful, and in-depth conversation on improving government leadership and its effectiveness. Until then, you can subscribe, download, and listen to the entire interview at Podcast One, iTunes, or on your favorite podcast app. And as always at businessofgovernment.org.